Well, morning from rainy France. Look at this. Height of summer. It's like being in England. Ugh. Anyway, quick update. So, this change of plan really. This cabinet was obviously supposed to have cabinets on the top. 2 cabinets, 4 doors. And they were nearly 900mm tall. But the client came at the weekend and we all agreed that it was just going to be too tall just to reach, I mean, this is like already I'm 5'9" and I can only just reach the top of that. I'd never open the cabinet or get to any of the stuff. So it was decided that we put them here. So they're now on the wall here instead. So shaker doors and cabs, some shelving in there, they're both the same. So that's basically what's happened with those. So from there to there, job done. Anyway, today's job, or one of the jobs for today, is to sort this door out. So this door doesn't fit in this lining. The door's about 2 inches too wide. The height's good. Now the problem is, or the solution is to take sort of 25mm off each side. The problem is, the stiles are already quite narrow, about 70mm, and if we cut an inch off, I'm really concerned about the integrity of the door itself. I think it could drop. I think it probably will drop. I discussed it with a client at the weekend. They are happy for me to try it, although I think ultimately, long term, it's not the best solution, but it's a door on for now. So we're going to lose some of the pegs, so I'll have to re-peg it here. Of course, we're going through the joints. It's really bad practice, but we'll have a go. We need to get a door on here, so even if it's just something through in the meantime. So I'm going to strip the hinges off first, take the lock off, and cut it back, get it to fit, and then we'll take it from there. Right. Okay, so when you're taking hinges off or any ironmongery off a door that for some reason decorators think it's alright to paint over, the heads of the screws get clogged up with paint. So there's lots of different ways to get them out, but I just use either a Stanley knife to run the blade through, sort of like this, or I'll use a thin flat bladed screwdriver just to scrape out the paint. Trouble is, if you don't, you end up rounding the head off. So you've got to get that paint out if you want to any hope of getting these screws out without it turning into a nightmare. But please, decorators, don't paint ironmongery. It messes the hinges up. It's a pain to get the screws out, and it interferes with the mechanism itself, because paint isn't oil, so it doesn't work. So when your doors are squeaky, you know who to blame. So normally the knobs are connected to the spindle by a grub screw. These are really old doors, and they're French doors, so they're manufactured differently. So they're not with a grub screw, but they've got a little pin in here, and it is literally a pin, it's not a screw, and you just prise the pin out like this to release the handle. That's all it is. It's all pinned. These are all pins, they're not screws. It's all pinned in. Just so you know, in case you're putting one back together.
Food was great. The cheese was really good. The chicken hot pot. I was like, 10 weeks. I mean, the first 6 weeks. Because I've been cut open at the front and the back. I could only be turned on my side every 4 hours. So my wife, to give me inspiration, on one side of the room had Stuart Pearce celebrating his penalty against Spain. So for 4 hours I would look at Stuart Pearce, and then the nurses would flip me over. Patriotic inspiration from this.
And did you know something we didn't? I mean, Stuart Pearce's penalty against Spain. What is?
Lift you up like you come out and fired out of a cannon.
Wow.
And then you walk backwards off that. So every day you would do like an instrument release so that you don't get woozy. I loved it. What
attitude for everything.
Man, the MRI, the CT scans and all that. And what was amazing was in there, if there was anything small, my chest is a bit tight, they're like, right, getting down to an MRI, they're like immediately scanned, like just anything was solved. And in the difficult times, the thing that really, very strong bonds with a lot of the people who looked after me, I was in touch with, I'm very good friends with some of the nurses and doctors.
That's been in there a long time. Okay, so all the ironmonger is stripped off there now. So I just need to measure the frame now, or the lining, sorry. So it's 7/16 at the top and it's 7/22 at the bottom. So I need to cut, so I'm going to mark the door up, cut off what I need to cut off. But what I also need to do is find which side of this is plumb. Because if this side's plumb, then I'll use this as my straight edge and I'll use the latch side as the angled cut, or vice versa. We'll have to work that out. I'm going to do that now and then we'll get it cut up and we'll try it in the slot. Right, we're ripped to size. So I'm just going to take the edge off, the arris off these with the block plane, and then we're going to try it in the frame. Right, I've marked these hinges out on the door, and I've marked them out with not one of these, no, one of these, a marking gauge. They're so much more accurate than just trying to use a knife. It does work with a knife, but just try this. Try and mark them up with a marking. If you've got a mortise gauge instead of just a marking gauge, you can do, obviously score both lines at the same time. I don't seem to have mine with me, but I have got a marking gauge, so I've just used and flipped it, and that works. But try one of these instead of just a knife. Knife will work, and if you use the knife, cool. But if you haven't thought of this, try this. So we get these hinges chopped in, we'll get the door hooked back on the hinges, and make the final tweaks. Okay, so I got the door on. Was a bit of a faff, but it's on. It's a very old door, but it's on, and it's nice to keep these features. So let me just come through here. So there it is. But to make it fit, I've had to do a few things. I've had to trim quite a lot off either one of the stiles, and I've also had to sort of put like a rebate in here so it will fit over the frame, because the hinges, this door's too thick basically for this, for the lining. So this was the only way to make it fit. So that's all the way round. I mean, once it's painted, it'll look good. It works, it shuts, it latches, and that's the main thing, eh? And they've been able to keep a feature of the original property.